I love horror books, and I'm always excited when there's a reason for me to read even more. My friend Sarah from Wicked Reading put together a horror bingo board, and I am so excited to participate in it. There are 25 prompts. I'll have her announcement video linked in the description. There's a few different rules and some ways to participate, but it is open to everybody no matter how much you read horror, and it runs from October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025. So you have a whole year to read the 25 prompts. There's a normal version and a hard version. For now, I am doing the normal version, but there very likely will be a second TBR from me halfway through the challenge with an updated TBR that is in hard mode. Make sure you check out Sarah's video for the rules, all the prompts. She has a Google Doc with everything. There's some templates for you. So I'm going to go through the bingo board from top left across, and then the second row down. We'll go through all 25 books. Everything on here is a horror book. I'm not going to read the full synopsis for everything because that's a lot of books. And also I feel like the prompt kind of tells you a little bit about the book as well. So the first prompt is a book published in 2024. For this, I am going to be reading American Rapture by C.J. Lead. I read Mayfly last year when it came out, and I did enjoy it. And I think that a religious horror by this author could work so well for me. Next, we have an apocalyptic book. For this, I'm going to be reading Fever House by Keith Rawson. It's the end of the world. We're following a former rock star who is dealing with a shady government agency. Next up, for the book set around or on Halloween, I am going with Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. This is following different authors who are invited to this house on Halloween. He's meeting up with 3 other horror authors. Next, I have a book with blood on the cover. For this one, I have So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. This is technically a drink, yes. But is this a vampire novel? Yes. So the likelihood of this being blood is at least good enough for me to count it. We're following 2 friends who are going on a trip together. They'd meet up with some shady people who I guess turn out to be vampires. I think this one's going to be a lot of fun. I am reading this in October with my Patreon, so I definitely wanted to get this on this TBR. Next up, we have a book set in the wilderness or the woods. And for this, I have The Haunted Forest Tour by James A. Moore and Jeff Strand. I read Clowns vs. Spiders by Jeff Strand and had such a good time with it. And this sounds like it'll also be so much fun. You're in this like heavily guarded, I almost said building. It's a vehicle. Driving through the forest. There's monsters and everything outside. I'm assuming things go wrong as one does in horror books. Next, we have a prompt where we're honoring the classics. And for this one, I am going with Wisteria Cottage by Robert M. Coates. This is not a classic that I historically think of, but it is published by Valancourt Books, and I think their purpose is to republish like more classic horror books. I think this is a psychological book, which I'm very excited about. Next, we have a translated book. So for this, I'm reading The Night Guest. I'm so sorry, I do not know how to pronounce this last name, but it's translated by Mary Robinette Cowell. This is following a woman who has found herself walking like 40,000 steps every night without knowing it. Then we have a cover pick, and for this, I have The Switch House by Tim Meyer. This cover is very cool. I'm very drawn to haunted house creepy looking things, but also, what are all these tentacles doing on here? I need to know. Oh, this is on a reality TV show where you switch houses. Is this like Wife Swap, but like both partners? I clearly read the synopsis before buying that. Next up is a Reaper Read. So this is a book that involves grief or death. And for this, I have My Darling Dreadful Thing by Joanna Van Veen. This cover, incredible. The back says, if the dead can wake and walk among us, how can we know what is truly real? There's a spirit companion, creepy things. Very much looking forward to it. Next up, we have a book with a title that has a spooky word in it. And for this one, I am going with When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. I am counting wolf as a spooky word. I wanted to get this book on this TBR. In this, we are following a woman who finds this young boy outside of her house. And clearly something is wrong with him. And then his father, who is trying to hurt them, is chasing them, and they're on the run. I think this is supposed to be a very action-packed, fun book, and I'm really looking forward to reading that from Nat Cassidy. Next, we have a Reanimated Corpse or Zombies. For this, I am going to be reading Secrets in the Dark by Darcy Coates. This is the sequel to Voices in the Snow, which is like an apocalyptic horror, bad time, zombie situation book. It's a direct sequel. It's been a little bit since I've read Voices in the Snow. I don't really know why I haven't picked up the sequel yet, but we're going to now. Next up is a genre blend, and for this I have a sci-fi horror standalone by Paul Michael Anderson. This is a sci-fi slasher. It's a slasher across the multiverse. Sounds like truly everything that I want. Then we have a 5-star read, which like obviously I cannot truly like fill that in until I have read a 5-star book, but I have a prediction, and that is Candy Cane Kills Again by Brian McCauley. This doesn't come out until November, and I have an early copy, so like thank you to the publisher. Incredible. I gave Candy Cane Kills 5 stars, and I anticipate to love this one just as much. Next up is a BIPOC author, and for this I have Immaculate Conception by Ling Ling Huang. This is the author of Natural Beauty, which was one of my favorite books of last year. Obsessed. This one is set in an art world instead of the beauty industry. It deals with like obsession and also technology. I seriously cannot wait. I haven't seen really anything about this book yet, but I did some digging, and it looks to come out in March or May. I think it started with an M. Next up is a cryptid creature. This one was a little bit of a struggle for me, but I'm going to go with Patricia Wants to Cuddle by Samantha Allen. This is a reality TV dating show competition. It's set in the Pacific Northwest, so there's some romance in here. I don't know how Bigfoot comes into play, but like if you look at the cover, Bigfoot is holding somebody. I'm a bit nervous for this one, but also very intrigued. Next up is a title with a number in it, and I'm not cheating, but it's not a number in this context. So I'm going with Eat the Ones You Love by Sarah Maria Griffin. This is a twisted, tangled story about workplace love affairs and plants with a taste for human flesh. That's all I want. If you're curious, this one comes out in April. Next up is Satanic Panic, so a book with any sort of occult element to it. For this one, I have Red Rabbit by Alex Grecian. This is a folk horror where we're following a ragtag posse that's tracking down a witch. I'm a tad bit nervous for this one, but it's like popped up in things multiple times. It is historical, it's a bit of a western, and it's horror and fantasy, so like could work, could not, but I'm excited to give it a try. Next up is a book club pick, so I have Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. This is the October pick for the book troop hosted by Gabby from Gabby Reads. This is following a kid, like we're in the perspective of a young girl whose troubled family is targeted by an entity she calls Other Mommy. I've heard so many people say this is one of the scariest books that they've read. I have enjoyed and disliked books by Josh Malerman, so like where's this one gonna land? I don't know, but I need to read it. Next we have a pink horror book, which is a book about girlhood / womanhood, and for this I am going with Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. Yes, it is a man, but we are following the baby scoop in Florida where babies are stolen from their families and given up to adoption to rich people. And I know we're following somebody who goes to this place thinking that they are going to get care for herself. She's only 15 and her baby, and then things obviously start to not turn out the way she expected. Then we have a book with multiple POVs. I'm going to read The House That Horror Built by Christina Henry. I have enjoyed most things that I've read from Christina Henry, some more than other people have, and I'm looking forward to this one. We are following Harry and Javier, and they are both working in this house, and it has something to do with a horror director. I think Christina Henry books are just so fun, and I'm looking forward to this one. Next is a book that has an adaptation, and for this I have Ghost Story by Peter Straub. I didn't know this had an adaptation until I was Googling books, trying to find things on my shelves. This year I'm trying to read my entire physical TBR. I have a video series where I'm doing that. So I wanted to pick at least 10 from my shelves for this list because I'm going to get to all of them this year. But this is following 4 old men who are gathering to tell stories, some made up and all of them frightening. And then there's one story that is coming back to haunt them. Next is a book out of my comfort zone. So for this, I have Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. I don't tend to like older horror. I've been either DNFing or giving them low ratings. I don't really like the writing style in a lot of them, so I'm scared, but I've heard such good things about this one. It has a bit of a musty smell that I just wafted in my face. So yeah, I'm gonna read this book. Then we have a short story collection. So for this, I have Suburban Monsters by Christopher Christopher Hawkins. I have this cool edition from Twisted Retreat. I just got a sense of deja vu. Okay, anyway, this is 13 suburban stories about different kinds of monsters in suburbia, I guess. I don't love short story collections that are multiple authors, but I like them when it's the same author, so I think this one could work for me. Then we have a TBR vet. This is one that I've had on my shelves longer than like anything else. I am scared for it. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but we're going to give it a shot, and that is The Wasp Factory by Ian Banks. We're following somebody who killed their younger brother. I don't really know what's going on with this book, but I'm gonna read it. And lastly is a creepy crawly book, and for this I have Cicada by Tanya Pell. This is book number 4 in the Killer VHS series that Candy Cane Kills and Candy Cane Kills Again is part of. In this we're following a character who is stranded at a horror film festival about cicadas. And then she realizes she's starring in the bloody sequel. People start dying and the locals won't let them leave. Truly incredible. I love a good bug book. I'm ready to be disgusted. So those are the 25 books that I plan on reading for Sarah's Horror Bingo Challenge. Once again, this was just the normal version. There is a hard mode where you have the prompt that I picked and then a bonus prompt to fit on top of that. And I've already started my TBR for that version, so you can look forward to that in half a year. A lot of these books will be featured in upcoming content on my channel though, so if you are interested in any of my thoughts on these books, make sure you stick around. If you haven't already watched Sarah's video, make sure you go check that out and subscribe to Sarah. If you've read any of these books, I'd love to know your thoughts on them. Also, if you are participating in this challenge, let me know the book you are most looking forward to reading, or if you have any recommendations for me for the hard mode for any of these. If you made it to the end and want to leave me an emoji to say you're here, you can leave me a ghost for Ghost Story. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope to see you very soon. Bye.